somebody got the promotion that you obviously deserved because you were there first. You're way more conscientious. You show up on time. They don't. But you could flip the script and you could say, well, I don't think this is fair. And because of that, it looks like the universe wants me to go somewhere else. In other words, you can use that as information about what your next move should be. And then in that case, the Nine of Wands is like that you have an insult level and you're not willing to stick around because you know that you're a good worker, you know that you add value to any company. And if you're not appreciated, oh well, you're not going to just sit there and cry about an injustice. You're going to gravitate towards something that is more positive. There was something else I want to say about the Judgment card. I also think that because Virgo is very self-critical, that you may be judging yourself too harshly for some reason. Even if you did screw up about something, it's okay. Don't allow that to hold you back, because the Ace of Wands and the Fool card, the Fool card is connected to Aries, okay? And I always think of the Ace of Wands as Aries too. So that initiation, that new path, that adventure, don't avoid that, the thrill of that, just because you're kind of beating yourself up about things that you coulda, shoulda, woulda done. What's coming in, this kind of seals the deal here, the Death card. It's all about, but in this deck, they say rebirth as well. And they have that infinity symbol. I'm recording this on the Lionsgate, the height of the Lionsgate portal, 8-8, and that is an 8. The infinity, the sideways 8. And yeah, and the reason I'm assuming the reason it's an infinity symbol is because it's just like death and rebirth are just endless cycles. And we get caught up sometimes. We get caught up in the death and the letting go, and then we get caught up in the new. And both of these can be very difficult portals to walk through, because we can feel that sense of discomfort, either of letting go of something or of embracing something that is very unfamiliar to us. And I remember, it's funny because I have the moon in Virgo, and I flashed on this thing where when I was a kid, I was a pretty anxious kid. But in the 70s, you didn't have anxiety, didn't exist. You couldn't get diagnosed with any of those things. Thank goodness, as far as I'm concerned, because you just accepted it. And I would get like, there were certain things that would make me very anxious, and a new school year was one of them. And I really like school, but I didn't like that transition, that newness, that unfamiliar aspect to it. And so I remember, like, the first few days of school, I would like have no appetite. And that was something that even when I was a little kid, I knew, okay, well, I'm not going to have an appetite, because I felt like very queasy and stuff like that. And then I'd be fine. I'd get acclimated and then I would be fine. But it was always that getting used to these new situations. And you may be very similar to that. I think it's human nature. I don't think it has anything to do with particular signs, but I do think that Virgos are high-strung a lot of times, because you're ruled by Mercury, and you might think too much, you might worry, and just, you might be very, you're a mutable sign. You just might be very, like, keyed up a lot and find it hard to relax. So you have to have to really make a point of doing that in order to ease into things. So, you know, embrace endings and embrace beginnings. This card is connected to Scorpio, by the way, and you're actually going to have a solar eclipse in Scorpio in a couple of months. So that's going to be in your third house, which has to do with your mind. So that is one of the houses. This is ruled by Gemini in the universal chart. That has to do with the mind, Mercury, and the way that you think, can change, and you can facilitate that. But it's all about, how you view things, right? And then the outcome is the Chariot. This is that card, the horses of duality, black and white. Do you see life as black and white? Or are you able to transcend two opposites? Are you able to, for instance, a lot of people get caught up in taking a side, taking, a stand one way or the other, and that just puts them in a separate camp. But the Chariot driver is beyond that and is controlling both of those extremes. And there may even be extreme situations. This can also be the distractions in your life. Are you going to allow them to derail you? Keep you from moving to that successful peak, because that's what the Chariot represents. Chariot can also be about travel. And so this may be a part of that. Maybe with the Ace of Wands, you want to explore new territory, but you are holding yourself back for some reason. The Judgment card too, another thing is that the Judgment card can be about karma, cause and effect, and about rebirth. So, it's funny that the Death card has rebirth on it. But the Chariot card is the card of Cancer. And hi, Virgo. Welcome to your mid-August 2022 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. Oh, sometimes these are hard to pick up. Wow, lots of major arcana cards. What's up with that? Put on my glasses that fell. Maybe I'll wipe them off for a second. The heart of the matter is the Nine of Wands. This is a card of boundaries. It doesn't look like it because there's a very short fence. Maybe that's the point, is that that person needs to build a higher fence because it's too easy for somebody to violate her boundaries. And, Virgo, your opposite sign is Pisces, and I see a lot of parallels between Pisces and Virgo, and one of them can be this tendency to allow people to run and walk all over you because you want to be accommodating. You want to be helpful too. You want to, help somebody in their life. And that's beautiful, but it can be a situation where you're helping somebody else at your expense, and that's something you don't want to do. There should not have to be a situation where you put yourself in back of somebody else simply because they are, I don't know, demanding that you rescue them. Maybe, I don't know. And the other thing too is there's a saying, you teach people how to treat you. So if somebody violates your boundary, it could be the way that they're treating you emotionally. It doesn't have to be something that they're doing in a physical sense. It could be just words that they're saying. Maybe they're calling you things that are not kind, that you ask them not to call you, and they continue to do so. So it's all about honoring yourself. And this can also be in the workplace. For sure, it can be in the workplace, not just with coworkers, but people who are in positions of authority. I'm not one of those people that say, if somebody's in a position of authority, they get to do whatever they want to do. No, it's like if I work for someone, that doesn't mean that I'm signing over my sense of self-worth. It doesn't work like that. And you have to be able to see that somebody has violated you. Or, another thing too is you could have a wall up. Maybe you have too great a boundary, and that's keeping somebody out who might be perfect for you. Because in the past position, we have the Fool card, and this might mean that you're free and clear and you can be with anyone, but you're having trust issues. If you have Venus in Scorpio, or maybe Mars in Scorpio, Moon in Scorpio, this can certainly come out. And then, any of the water signs or Taurus, where you might feel this sense of resentment towards something that has happened in the past that you haven't fully forgiven. It can create this wall that comes up. And so that could be the Nine of Wands, that you're overly vigilant about protecting yourself, protecting your heart. And you end up shutting out the very people that you could be letting into your life, ironically. The higher message is the Ace of Wands, and this is saying that, you have to cultivate that sense of excitement about what life has in store for you. Because with the Fool card, you may be in a new cycle of your life that feels really different, but rather than feeling exhilarated at the change, you may feel super apprehensive. You may be feeling like, when's the other shoe going to drop? If you embrace the adventure that is upon you, you will have a better attitude towards it, but you will also, so you'll be more receptive to whatever comes your way. And also remember that any kind of breakup, whether it's with work or with personal life, the great thing or the silver lining about it is that you're free. And yes, some people find themselves having broken up with another person or not at a job anymore, and they don't feel like they were the one who initiated it. Like, I remember quitting a job, and yes, technically I was the one who did it. I signed the, release papers that I was going to be gone on X date and blah, blah, blah. But I felt like I did it under duress. I felt like I had to do it. I was compelled to do it based on the situation around me. You may feel like you're the one who's doing it, but you feel like you're under the gun, that you have to do something. to get yourself out of an uncomfortable situation. But even if you're in that position and you're resentful that you're in that position because you really don't want to leave the relationship, the more you can believe wholeheartedly that there is a higher reason for this, the better off you'll be, that you need to start something else. That's why I said the higher message, the Ace of Wands, is maybe starting your own business, because wands are very independent. They're connected to fire energy, and ace is the beginnings of that. That's just one example. And the universe may have this for you. What crosses you is a judgment card. Now, Virgo people, I would say by and large, you have good judgment. But sometimes because maybe you want something so badly, you may cut corners in terms of what would be your normal, what do you call it, your standards, lowering your standards, so to speak. And so maybe you got involved with somebody that normally you wouldn't have even done in the first place, but you were feeling vulnerable, you were feeling lonely. And so you decided to spend time with somebody who ended up being very disruptive to your life. I'm just giving one example. What crosses you can be that you're so focused on how somebody did you wrong that you don't take responsibility for your own place in the dance. And that can be as simple. It's not about blaming the victim. It's about not needing to be a victim, even if you were victimized in some way, not needing that to be the legacy or the narrative about the end of this relationship. Or if you're in the workplace, just emphasizing how is really about being able to be successful in spite of a lot of distractions around you. And I think those distractions are really about change that you're experiencing. And perhaps it has been a bit daunting. Oh yeah, it's very interesting because when I talk about travel, ninth house represents travel, and you have Uranus in that house. You're also going to have a lunar eclipse that is going to form an exact conjunction with Uranus in November. So that may have dramatic effects for some Virgo people, especially those who have been, maybe you've been going back and forth on whether you want to move to a foreign country or, maybe live there extensively. With Uranus in the ninth house, there may even be some kind of connection to religious training, or I would say religious travel, which is really big right now, whether you're training to be a yoga teacher in a foreign country or maybe just soaking up the atmosphere, like being in an ashram or something and being where it all began, like in India, or going to some of those other countries, maybe in Southeast Asia, where they have a whole bunch of temples, and just immersing yourself in that environment to really take in the influences at a high level, maybe because you want to travel as well. Uranus in the ninth house, because Uranus can be technology, could be the digital nomad. And that might be something that you want to do, but maybe you have a little bit of fear attached to it because it's unknown to you. You've never done it before. So whatever, it's very adventurous, and it looks like with the Chariot that you stand to experience success in whatever this is. That's what I have for you, Virgo. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.